Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent video for this week, for the week of November 16th to the 22nd, 2025, where I take a look at a couple of stories that kind of caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about them. And we have 4 stories to cover this week, including the Circana numbers that have just recently came out, especially with one particular game that was going up against Call of Duty, and to see how well that did though. A interesting rumor regarding the possibility of Grand Theft Auto 6 could make its way over to the Switch 2. Reports about Sony maybe reevaluating their approach with basically their idea of bringing their games to PC and all. And I do want to give my thoughts on the trailer that came out this week regarding Metroid Prime 4, and basically supposedly some criticism regarding some of the voice acting in the game, particularly with one particular character and everything and all. If you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this either on YouTube and Patreon. And of course, timestamps will also be in the description as well, if there are certain parts of this video you wish to skip to and everything. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all. The first one has to do with the fact that Donkey Kong Bonanza is certainly right now has been nominated for Game of the Year for the upcoming Game Awards 2025 though. As a Nintendo fan, I'm happy to see it get nominated though, and I personally would love it to win Game of the Year and all, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like, say, Hollow Knight Silksong or Claire Expedition 33 were to win Game of the Year. In fact, or Hades 2 for that matter. I mean, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be shocked if any of those games won Game of the Year. So I appreciate Donkey Kong Bonanza being nominated for Game of the Year. Would like to see it happen, but odds are, I would say, probably it won't, but we'll find out when the Game Awards happen and everything like that. We also learned that Sarah Bond recently was interviewed and basically doubled down on insisting that hardware is the absolute core of their Xbox brand and everything like that, which is very interesting because we've been seeing numbers how the Xbox in terms of hardware has not been doing as the Xbox Series X and S has not been doing as well, at least according to some of the sales number has come out. And recently Microsoft's push to put their games pretty much everywhere, including on rival platforms and everything. So interesting to see her double down on this though. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of hardware they're going to do, not to mention the fact that Steam has sort of came out with their so-called Steam machine and kind of beat Microsoft to a certain degree on it though, but we'll have to wait and see what Microsoft has to show once they start showing off their next generation system and everything. We also had an interesting shadow drop that happened this week, which is basically the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. This was the reboot of the Tomb Raider series to some extent. Actually available not only on the Switch, but also the Switch 2 and everything. And supposedly the Switch 2 version has the game running at 60 frames per second. But some of the footage that has come out so far seems to have shown the visuals there's been some claims the visuals are sort of not quite the PS3 or the PS4 version, to be exact though. So we'll have to wait and see about this game and everything. There's been no word on a physical version, at least at this time, so we don't know if a physical version will happen, or let alone if limited run games might do a physical version. And if they do, I do wonder if that physical version happens, if it's going to be a game key card or actually, game in the cartridge, regarding the Switch 2 version. So at this time, we don't know about a physical version yet though, but very surprised to see Tomb Raider Definitive Edition be on the Switch and Switch 2. Hopefully it does well enough that this opens the door to the possibility of the other 2 Tomb Raider games coming over, like Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadows of the Tomb Raider. So hopefully those games will make their way over to the Switch or the Switch 2 as well. We also learned that Sony seems to be taking a page out of Nintendo, at least in Japan, and may be offering a region lock PS5 system over there. This comes in reports coming out that Sony may be rethinking their approach to the Japanese market, as they have trended to be more aiming towards the Western market though, but with the new, I think, CFO or CEO in charge, they seem to be rethinking that approach, considering the fact that Nintendo has been pretty dominant in the Japanese market and everything. So we'll see how this strategy plays out, and we'll see if this means a change in some of the approach Sony has done. I don't expect them to abandon everything in terms of, like live service or terms of developing Western developers, but it could it does sound like it could make them prioritize and maybe try to do a better job in the Japanese market and all. Whether or not this means they will overtake Nintendo or catch up to them, that remains to be seen at this time. So we'll have to wait and see how that strategy plays out though. We also learned that the upcoming Steam machine though, there has been some reports about the price of it, and at least according to what's some of the reports seem to come out indicate that the price will be around like a PC and not a console. And depending on how you want to look at that, that can either be both a good or a bad thing. There has been claims it could be priced like around $750. It could be priced around $1,000. So there are a lot of price points that have been thrown around at this time though, but we've yet to hear the official price point to it. So time will ultimately tell and everything like that. I mean, it could be a tough pill to swallow for some folks out there if it's a very expensive machine that we're talking about, especially in this economy and everything. But again, we have to wait until we hear more information about it, especially the price point. So for right now, it's just speculation, but we'll see if it's going to be priced. If this report is true, that will be priced more towards a PC and not towards a console and all. We also learned that supposedly a new Tales game is being remastered. Tales of Brashura, if I'm saying that correctly. This game was released in 2016 back on the PS4 and all, and it's coming to multiple systems, including the Nintendo Switch. No Switch 2 version at this time, and it seems that the Nintendo version the Switch version will run at 30 frames per second compared to the other versions, which will be running supposedly at 60 frames per second though. A little mix on that in terms of it coming to the Switch and all. I mean, don't get me wrong, great that it's coming to the Switch and it can be played on the Switch too, but a little disappointed with the frame rate to a certain degree and all, especially after what we saw with, I think, Tales of Symphonia, if I'm saying that name correctly, and how the whole situation with that game turned out to be though. So we'll have to wait and see about this. Hoping maybe at some point a Switch 2 version can happen, but time will ultimately tell on that one though. And in the movie and TV show, part of the Quick My 2 Cents, we just saw first footage of at least some photos of basically the live action Zelda movie and everything. They showed us a picture of the live action version of Link and Zelda, and judging from what we've seen so far, it doesn't look bad, at least what the footage has shown, but I'm gonna hold off final judgment at this time on that movie though. I still prefer it if they had done an anime or an animation one on this one, not a live action one, but we'll have to wait and see. I have to see the trailer itself or see some of the plot or synopsis, if I'm saying that name correctly, to get a good look at whether or not this was the right decision for both Sony and Nintendo to take and everything. So for now, we only have this photos of it though. So I'm going to take like I said before, take a wait and see approach on this one though. We also saw trailers for the second season of basically the Tomb Raider series though, which is expect to happen supposedly next month. I enjoyed the first one to a certain degree, and I'll definitely keep an eye on this one. This premiered around the same time the surprise announcement that Tomb Raider Definitive Edition was coming to the Switch 1 and Switch 2, so this is going to be interesting to see how the second season plays out. And last but not least, we are learning about a couple of things about basically the whole WB being for sale and everything like that, as both Paramount, Netflix, and Comcast are putting out their bids and everything, and and it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. There has been talks about Paramount being the front runner at this time, but There are those who believe Comcast has the money enough to buy WB, and recently Netflix has come out saying that they would honor existing contracts to release WB movies into theaters and everything. But again, we'll see how that plays out. But we're also learning how a Saudi company or PF firm has also emerged as a front runner as well. We've seen this firm, I think, has popped up before. I think this or a similar firm in which they buy some of these companies or invest. They did it recently with EA and everything like that. We've seen with companies like Tencent, which is a Chinese firm that has purchased some companies or invested some money like into Ubisoft as well. So this will be interesting to see if this Saudi firm really emerges as the front runner and everything. And of course, we're learning that about the future of HBO or HBO Max, and supposedly the person in charge of HBO isn't really too worried about the whole WB being for sale and everything. So it seems right now HBO seems to be okay despite the whole splitting that Warner Brothers is recently doing and everything between, I think the Discovery part and, Warner Brothers parts and everything. So right now HBO seems to be okay. The president doesn't seem to be bothered at this time, but time will ultimately tell once we see who emerges from this, whether WB does get sold or not, or if it's broken up for good or everything. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out and all. Okay, with the Quick My Chew Set part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My Chew Set, we'll get started with our first story. And this one has to do with Metroid Prime 4, particularly has to do with a overview trailer that Nintendo put out this week and all. Now, as some of you are aware, it certainly is one of the games I'm looking forward to, which comes out, I believe, next month and everything. And this game was a long time coming. Originally announced back in 2017 during the Switch 1 era. This game went through a bunch of ups and downs in like around 2019. They restarted the project. Retro came in. They hired several folks, including some who worked on the Metroid and the Halo series before, to bring all this in together. And the trailer, and since then, ever since that first reveal, it looked very impressive from my book, but there were rumors at the time, as many suspect, that would be coming to Nintendo's next system, which we now know is the Switch 2, which we also know it's also coming to the Switch 2 as well. And we saw some details here and there, including some of the powers that Samus Aran will gain access to the fact that supposedly there will be an upgrade version for those who have the Switch 1 version, but of course, it will, like I said, there will be a Switch 2 version. It will support, mouse control if you want to use the Joy-Cons as a mouse. And of course, it will have support the ability to go up to 120 frames per second, but also at 60 frames per second as well. So a lot of that was certainly interesting indeed. There were some questions I still have, and one of those is the use of this bike vehicle that they showed off during the trailer. Though it looks interesting, but I'm curious to see how much use that will be used in the game, because what they showed so far, at least based on what I've seen, or at least from my impression, it didn't seem much though. It seemed like it was just mostly just used to go from one point to another and everything like that. There have been some reports coming out that they were aiming for something that make the worlds bigger, but not in an open world type of approach. Although I wouldn't be against the idea of an open world Metroid Prime game if they ever do something like that and everything. And they also showed a little bit of the bike being used going through some of these narrow areas or linear type parts though. So I'm somewhat a little bit curious to see how the bike is being used, because it doesn't seem like that much, but we'll have to wait and see and all. But probably one of the big controversy, at least that come out of this trailer, was basically showing some of the sidekicks you'll be running into. One in particular is basically someone by the name of Machinize, if I'm saying that name correctly. And now, there have been some complaints based on the trailer that was shown. Some people are complaining these characters will ruin the experience, considering that Metroid has always been, Samus, being alone in the world and everything like that. And that's true to some extent, although I do want to point out Metroid Prime 3 Corruption did have voiceovers in that game. Maybe not a lot, but you did hear some of the characters and everything like that. But and at the same time, I'm not really sure. I don't find any of these characters to be annoying or anything like that at all, though. I am curious to see what role they will play in Metroid Prime 4. That's going to be very interesting to see how big of a role they're going to play. Are they just going to play a minor role? Is there going to be like an escort mission that we have for them to be involved? So there's still a lot of questions of how they're going to be used and everything. What part could we see them in? I mean, could they just pop up on a cutscene every now and then and that's it? You don't really see them anywhere else. So that's going to be interesting indeed if that is the case. But I wasn't bothered with, didn't seem bothered with them based on what was shown during the trailer, and I didn't find them to be annoying and all. I know there are some on the internet that are making that claim, although to be fair, sometimes the internet can blow things way out of proportion. But judging from what the trailer showed, I wasn't bothered with some of these side characters and everything, though. Again, we have to wait and see until we get the full game in our hand and try it out for ourselves to see what role they will play and all. But for now, I'm not hugely bothered with them and all. So overall, like this new trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond that they were showing, I am looking forward to getting that game indeed. I am a big fan of the Metroid Prime series. I do enjoy the series indeed. And I'm not bothered with these side characters, at least for now, but it's going to be very interesting to see how big of a role they do play in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with a report coming out that seemed to indicate the possibility that Sony could be pulling back, at least in bringing some of their games over to the PC and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a interesting report that has come out at the very least, although Sony has yet to confirm this, is PlayStation may be changing some of their strategy in terms of bringing their game to the PC market and all. Now, one of the things we saw this generation that is considered, depending on who you're asking, some think this is a smart move, others don't, is when Microsoft made a decision to basically put their games pretty much everywhere, though. And that means putting them not only on PC, but other platforms like Nintendo systems, and of course, onto the PlayStation brand itself, though. For some folks, this was consider this a controversial move. Others were okay with this, and Microsoft has come out talking about how they think exclusives are like the days of the dinosaurs, although I do kind of have to disagree to some extent on this argument, considering I cite Bayonetta 2 as sort of an example of how exclusivity could be done right and everything. Well, we've seen, since Microsoft has been pushing this though, we've seen Sony make an attempt as well, particularly bringing their games over to PC and all. And we've seen that with games like Spider-Man 2, to God of War, to even I think like Sackboy and Ratchet and Clank. I believe those games have made their way over to the PlayStation systems. But a new report, at least coming from Jez Gordon, if I'm saying the name correctly, seemed to indicate that Sony may be changing that strategy for a bit. In an article from Tech for Gamers, it reads that, as per Jez Gordon, he stumbled across news that PlayStation is pulling back from PC. This part is mostly due for tentpole single-player games, as the gaming giant will still release live service titles like the upcoming Marathon on PC. However, for tentpole single-player games, they may not arrive on PC or ever. If they do release, it will be delayed for years on end now, in contrast to the quick release they've been given in recent times. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was released on PC just a little over a year after its PS5 release, and the same was the case with Stellar Blade. However, as before, God of War 2018 took 3 years before eventually arriving on desktop systems. Furthermore, the gaming giant sales on PC don't even generate significant revenues for them. Previous issues like region restriction has caused hiccups in performance, and releasing ports years after the game's initial release also doesn't help. As such, it makes sense why Sony would put up with this approach. Now, it is worth pointing out, though, that so far Sony has not said anything at this time. So it remains to be seen if this report is true or not. But if it is, that would be very interesting because it would be a complete, or not only say complete, somewhat of a reversal of a strategy compared to what Microsoft has been doing with the Xbox brand itself, though. Perhaps maybe they saw how Nintendo is continuing, to have their exclusives for their systems, and their system continues to sell very well. Maybe they want to go back to that approach, though. Although, as the article mentioned, it looks like they'll be releasing live service games on other systems, particularly on PC. In fact, recently, I remember hearing how Helldivers 2 has been released onto the Xbox systems, and supposedly that game is doing very well on the Xbox, at least from what I've heard and everything. So it doesn't. It's at least what this article is saying doesn't sound like live services will be impacted, though. But this tentpole single player games, that could be unfortunate for those who are considering those who want to try it out on the PC instead of buying a PlayStation in general, though. But I will admit some of it was also Sony's doing, such as this restriction thing that became an issue for PC gamers, to even some of the games ported over that didn't exactly go over very well. Like I remember The Last of Us was ported over to PC, and that got dogpiled on for a lot of people who felt like that was a poor port that was done to that systems and everything. So it does sound like, if this report's true, that Sony is reevaluating their policy, though. Whether this is the right or wrong decision for Sony remains to be seen, but it does seem to indicate that they're maybe not as focused as putting their games onto other systems, particularly on PC, as much as to say that Microsoft is. But again, we'll find out somewhere down the road, though. Perhaps they'll rethink this strategy. Perhaps maybe they'll rethink and think, maybe we'll give PC another try with our single-player games, or maybe they'll just figure, you know what, we'll just only keep it at multiplayer games only from now on. So time will ultimately tell, but until Sony says something, this is still just a rumor, at least for now. But coming that it's from Jez Gordon, though, I will say I'm leaning more towards it's possibly, more than likely, true and everything. So overall, that would be very interesting if Sony decides to scale back, bringing their first-party games to the PC or other markets, which in my view would be a reversal compared to what Microsoft is doing, which seems to be more, as I said before, all in on bringing a lot of their games to other systems out there and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with a interesting rumor going around with the possibility of GTA6 coming to the Switch 2. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my True Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at a interesting rumor that seemed to have popped up this week regarding the possibility of GTA 6 coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, obviously GTA 6 is probably one of the biggest titles for Rockstar and Take-Two Interactive, though. We know the game has been delayed into next year and all, which honestly, I wasn't really surprised when they announced a delay because they didn't really give an actual launch date. A lot of people were thinking this year, 2025, but the fact that it's not being released this year isn't really shocking and everything like that, though. So that, I wasn't really surprised by that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that game is going to look and play particularly on a lot of systems. The Switch 2 was one that many wonder if it would or would not appear on the system and all. So that was going to be very interesting to see if that was the case and all. But a interesting report, at least from folks like Nate the Hate and Nash Weedle, seem to indicate that Rockstar might be bringing the game over to the Switch 2, or at least that might have been in the cards at one point though. A lot of this came from X, formerly known as Triller. This one is from basically from Insider Gaming, but the first one comes from Nash Riedel, and this is what here's what he had to say about this quote. He said, quote, "I can confirm that a GTA 6 port for Switch 2 is in the works. I haven't said much about it. I had to be cautious until now. I can also comment that the game delay isn't due to this version. It doesn't seem like it will be a launch title and all." Meanwhile, Nate the Hate has recently chimed in on this, and he said, quote, "I said a while ago that R was doing tests to bring it to the Switch 2, but tests don't always equal releases. I know an effort has been made to see if they can bring it to the platform. I don't know the current state of that effort." Now, it is worth pointing out, though, that right now Rockstar has not said anything, nor has Take-Two Interactive, so it remains to be seen how accurate this report is. And although both Nash Riedel and Nate the Hate do have a good track record, though, it is worth pointing out to take this rumor with a great of salt at this time, because both of them could be right or wrong on this, though. That being said, however, I'm not outright dismissing this rumor entirely for several reasons, though. First one is the fact that during the Switch 1 era, we did see a lot of impossible ports, though, make their way to the Switch 2. Some of it was developed by port houses and everything like that, but nevertheless, we did see some, whether it was Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, to Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, to Kingdom Come's Deliverance, and all, to the first Dying Light making its way over to the Switch 1 and everything. So it's not entirely impossible to port these games over and everything like that if you have the tools and the know-how and do some work around it, though. Obviously, for these games, there were compromises that were made to make these games run on the Switch 1 at the time and everything like that. Some folks were okay with that compromise, some of them were not, though. So we'll have to wait. So we'll have to wait and see if compromises were made should a Switch 2 version actually happen. But again, we've seen port houses handle impossible ports make their way over to the Switch 2. Also, another reason is if you look at games like Star Wars Outlaw and even Cyberpunk 2077, which was a launch title for the Switch 2 and everything like that, CD Projekt Red was able to bring what many view as a graphically demanding game over to the Switch 2 and all. So, I mean, as I mentioned with the first one, though, does seem to be possible to bring these games over. And last but not least, though, I mean, it's also possible that Rockstar could be looking at a port house to handle it, though. I mean, Double 11 handled the port of Red Dead Redemption 1 on multiple systems, and we're going to get a Switch 2 version and all. But it's also possible that Shiver Entertainment could handle a port of the Switch 2 version of Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, for those who are not familiar, Nintendo purchased Shiver Entertainment, and I will admit, at first I was a little confused to why they would purchase this Port House studio and everything like that. But eventually, after seeing WWE 2K, I think it's WWE 2K, I think like 26 or something, or 25, one of those games though, a WWE game though, it kind of made some sense to why Nintendo may have purchased Shiver Entertainment to have them handle maybe ports of games that publishers want to bring over to the Switch 2 and everything. So that could be a possibility. So I'm not ruling out the possibility that a GTA 6 Switch 2 version could happen, but at the same time, it may not happen at all. So time will ultimately tell, and we'll have to wait until Rockstar starts saying something about this, whether that could be true or not. One other thing I do want to point out is if a Switch 2 version of GTA 6 does happen, should that happen though, then don't be surprised if it's a game key card kind of situation. I know not everybody is a fan of the game key card, I get that and all, but unless Rockstar or whoever would be handling a Switch 2 port of GTA 6 is able to pull off and bring the game either under 64 gigabytes or anything like that, which I have serious doubts that's going to be the file size for GTA 6 or anything like that, though. But I would say odds are if GTA 6 does come to Switch 2, it's going to be a game key card, more than likely, unless someone can pull off what CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk 2077. I would not be shocked if a Switch 2 version of GTA 6 is a game key card and everything. But overall, again, take this with a grain of salt, though, about GTA 6 GTA 6 could be coming to the Switch 2. Some people believe it will not happen, and that could be the case, though. But given how we've seen the possible ports on the Switch 1 before, I am not completely ruling out the possibility that GTA 6 could make its way over to the Switch 2 and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one has to do with the Circana numbers for October 2025. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My Two Cent video. And for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at October 25 Circana numbers that have just been came out this week, though. And the fact, one of the games that tended to do got the #1 spot. Honestly, I'm not really shocked by this one, to be exact, given the much hype around it, though, and seeing the positive response so far to it. Obviously, it's going to be Battlefield 6, so that really shouldn't be a shock for anybody, though. But other interesting numbers comes out, including the fact that the Switch 2 still continue. It seems to be doing very well, despite where the economy is right now and everything. It seems to be doing well, indeed. From an article from Video Game Chronicles, it reads, and this comes from Matt Picatella from Circana. It says, quote, "The Nintendo Switch 2 is in its fifth month, remaining the best-selling console in the US for October 2025 in terms of units sold and dollar sales, according to figures from Circana. Circana includes data for the 5-week period of October 5th to November 1st. The Switch 2 sold 328,000 units in October, which is a 68% ahead of Switch 1 and 3% ahead of PS4. The PS5 was the second best-selling console in dollars, with dollar sales down 22% year-on-year. The Xbox Series X and S came in third place with dollar sales down 37%, and the Switch 1 came in fourth place with dollar sales failing at 52%, which honestly I'm not shocking considering the Switch 2 is the new Switch and everything. Anyway, continuing on, the launch of the ASAU ROG Ally, Xbox Ally, caused spending on the portable hardware to increase by 4.8 times compared to last year. It is down 30% higher year to date. We have heard reports that the ROG Xbox Ally has supposedly sold out, at least that's the claim, so that really isn't surprising. Indeed, though, they said that, quote, Battlefield 6 mobile content and Switch 2 hardware were among the drivers of total projected U.S. spending on video game hardware content and accessories, reaching $4.9 billion in October, growing 3% versus October 24, said, Matt Picatella, though. He added, video game hardware spending in October grew 36% compared to a year ago to $350 million. Switch 2 again was able to offset decline across Switch, negative 52% versus a year ago, Xbox Series, negative 37%, and PS5, negative 22%, though. So it also mentioned how it's ahead of the PlayStation record. Now, in terms of the best-selling games, in terms of dollars for October 2025, we have Battlefield 6 at number 1, Pokemon Legends Z&A at number 2, Ghost of Yokai at number 3, NBA 2K26 at number 4, EA Sports FC 26 at number 5, Madden NFL 26 at number 6, The Outer Worlds 2 at number 7, Little Nightmares 3 at number 8, Digimon Stories Time Stranger at number 9, Borderlands 4 at number 10, Ninja Gaiden 4 at number 11, EA Sports College Football 26 at number 12. Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 at number 13. Final Fantasy Tactica, the Avon Chronicles, I'll probably butcher that name, at number 14. Sonic Racing Crossworld at number 15. Silent Hill F at number 16. Minecraft at number 17. Helldivers 2 at number 18. Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 19, because why not? That game continues to sell very well. And Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 20. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if some of that has to do with the updated version of the first Red Dead Redemption, or possibly building up to an updated version of Red Dead Redemption 2 that could be in the works, at least according to some of the rumors out there. In terms of the best-selling games in 2025, they have Battlefield 6 at number 1, NBA 2K26 at number 2, Monster Hunter Wild at number 3, Borderlands 4 at number 4, EA Sports College Football 26 at number 5, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster at number 6, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 7, Madden NFL 26 at number 8, MLB The Show 25 at number 9, Ghost of Yotai at number 10, Elden Ring Nightring, if I'm saying that name correctly, at number 11, EA Sports FC 26 at number 12, WWE 2K25 at number 13, Kingdom Come Deliverance at number 14, Forza Horizon 5 at number 15, Minecraft at number 16, Split Fiction at number 17, EA Sports MVP Bundle 2025 at number 18, NBA 2K25 at number 19, and Helldivers 2 at number 20. Over on the best around the best games on the PlayStation platform for October 2025, we have Battlefield 6 at number 1, Ghost of Yotai at number 2, NBA 2K26 at number 3, EA Sports FC 26 at number 4, Madden NFL 26 at number 5, Little Nightmares 3 at number 6, The Outer Worlds 2 at number 7, Digimon Storytime at number 8, Ninja Gaiden 4 at number 9, and Borderlands 4 at number 10. Over on the Xbox side for October 2025, we have Battlefield 6 at number 1, NBA 2K26 at number 2, Madden NFL 26 at number 3, EA Sports FC 26 at number 4, Borderlands 4 at number 5, EA Sports College Football 26 at number 6, Little Nightmares 3 at number 7, Helldivers 2 at number 8, The Outer Worlds 2 at number 9, and Digimon Story Time Stranger at number 10. Over on the Nintendo platforms, particularly Switch and Switch 2, we have Pokemon Legends Z&A at number 1, Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2 at number 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza at number 3, Little Nightmares 3 at number 4, Final Fantasy Tactica The Ivan Chronicles at number 5, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake at number 6, Sonic Racing Crossworld at number 7, Super Mario Party Jamboree at number 8, EA Sports FC 26 at number 9, and Minecraft at number 10. And then finally, over onto the PC side, we have Battlefield 6 at number 1, The Outer Worlds 2 at number 2, Digimon Story Time Strangers at number 3, Borderlands 4 at number 4, Little Nightmares 3 at number 5, Ninja Gaiden 4 at number 6, Ghost of Tsushima at number 7, Final Fantasy Tactica The Ivan Collection at number 8, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 9, and EA Sports FC 26 at number 10. So obviously the big winner for October was obviously Battlefield. And I'm not surprised that Battlefield did very well, considering so far the positive response that game has gotten. Now, that and Call of Duty really doesn't interest me in anything like that, but I understand there's an audience for it though, and it seems though Battlefield 6 is certainly getting a better response than Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is, which is not getting, let's just say, not getting the best response to be exact though, although I am kind of curious to see how well that does stacked up to Battlefield 6, but pretty clear Battlefield 6 was the clear winner for October though. I will say it was kind of interesting to see Outer Worlds 2 seem to make it on this list, so clearly that game is finding its audience and doing very well indeed. Same with Ninja Gaiden 4. I think that's great. That one's doing well too. And even the Final Fantasy Tactica game, which is a port, I believe, of a game from the released during the PlayStation era, to see it find a new audience, especially on Nintendo systems as well, is certainly good indeed. So I'm glad that game is doing well. I'm glad the Switch 2, as a Nintendo fan, is doing very well indeed though. And it's nice to see the Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4 doing good as well, considering I do like the Ninja Gaiden series, and excuse me, I do like the Outer Worlds to be exact. I like the first one, and I'm enjoying the second one so far. But obviously the big winners were the Switch 2 and Battlefield 6. So pretty clear who became the big winners for October 2025. It's going to be interesting to see what November numbers are when that comes out. And it'll be very interesting to see how Call of Duty Black Ops 7 compares to Battlefield 6, though. I mean, it's going to be very interesting indeed. Some believe that Battlefield 6 will probably overtake Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which I wouldn't be shocked if that's true. I would not be shocked at all. And if it turns out it does, I wonder if that could force Activision and Microsoft and Blizzard to go back to the drawing board and maybe rethink some of their approach. Because in the past, though, before Battlefield 6 came out, Call of Duty wasn't facing really any huge competition out there and all. Yes, you may have some games that weren't great, but they were still doing very well. But with Battlefield 6 seemed to be doing better than what happened with Battlefield 2042, it's possible that could change. That is a possibility indeed. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what November Circana numbers are, especially when we see how Call of Duty Black Ops 7 does. So overall, obviously there were some good numbers for games like Outer Worlds 2, Final Fantasy Tactica, Ninja Gaiden 4. But obviously the biggest winners taken away from October's 2025's Circana numbers were basically the Switch 2 system selling well and Battlefield 6 doing very well indeed. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the trailer for Metroid Prime 4 that recently came out though? Are you still hyped to get the game when it comes out next month in any way? Do you think some of the side characters is as annoying as some of the internet are claiming it is? Or do you think some people are blowing it way out of proportion? And are you bothered by them at all? Or are you not really bothered by them entirely though? What are your thoughts about this so-called rumor of PlayStation possibly pulling back or scaling back in terms of bringing some of their games to PC, particularly on the single player side? Do you think this rumor is true? And if so, do you think this is a smart strategy, or do you think this is a dumb strategy on Sony's part though? What are your thoughts about the rumor of possibility of GTA6 coming to the Switch 2 and all? Do you think this rumor is true? Do you think it's false? Do you think it's possible they could find a way to port over the GTA 6 to the Switch 2? And if so, do you expect that it probably would be a game key card by any chance? And what are your thoughts about October 2025 Circana numbers? Were you surprised to see Battlefield 6 get the top spot, or you weren't really surprised at all? Were you surprised to see the Switch 2 became still selling very well and everything? Did you get one yet anyway? What about, were you pleased to see Outer World 2 or Ninja Gaiden 4 make it on that list? Or were there other games you wish that made it on that list that did well in October 2025 Circana numbers? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Excuse me. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notification of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steamland. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!